Look, if you're tired of setting massive New Year's resolutions that just completely fizzle out by mid-February, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're totally bypassing the typical exhausting goal-setting advice. Instead, we are diving straight into the explosive, really practical power of James Clear's blockbuster book, Atomic Habits. Think of this explainer as your ultimate guide to getting literally just 1% better every single day. So let's dive into this transformation arc and see how tiny tweaks can completely rewrite your future. 37. Okay, I know it might seem like a totally random number, but it actually represents the staggering math behind continuous improvement. If you can get just 1% better each day for 1 year, the math literally proves you'll end up a massive 37 times better by the time you're done. No joke. On the flip side, if you get 1% worse daily, you decline almost all the way down to zero. We naturally tend to overestimate the importance of one big defining moment, right? And we vastly underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. But what starts as a minor win really does accumulate into something monumental over time. And understanding that math leads us right to our first major paradigm shift: goals versus systems. We're deeply conditioned by society to set these massive goals. We focus purely on the final results we want to achieve, like losing 20 pounds or, writing a novel. But the real secret to exponential growth, it requires completely changing how you view progress. You basically need to forget about the goals and absolutely obsess over your systems. Systems are the daily processes leading to those results. If you want better results, you've got to stop staring at the finish line and start building the machine that will actually get you there. James Clear sums up why this shift is absolutely crucial with a somewhat brutal truth. He says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And honestly, what's incredibly liberating about this idea is how it instantly removes the guilt from failure. Think about it. If you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem actually isn't you. It isn't some lack of willpower. Bad habits repeat themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you simply have the wrong system for change to occur. So to actually build that bulletproof system, we have to look a little deeper at the transformation arc. The real root of the issue is that your habits are firmly anchored in your identity. We're talking about identity-based habits. This is the concept that your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current identity. According to Clear, there are 3 layers of change. You've got outcomes, which is what you get, processes, which is what you do, and identity, which is what you believe. True, lasting behavior change, that requires deciding the type of person you want to be first, before you even worry about the outcomes. Think of it kind of like this. Every single action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. It's a really powerful way to completely reframe how we look at our mundane, everyday routines. Going to the gym for just 10 minutes, or even reading a single page of a book, well, it isn't just an action. You are actively casting a vote to prove your new identity to yourself. It provides concrete evidence. You don't need some radical overnight transformation. You literally just need to accumulate enough of these tiny votes to start truly believing new things about who you are. Now, every time you cast one of those votes, your brain is actually running a very specific 4-step background program: cue, craving, response, and reward. Every habit you have moves through this exact neurological feedback loop. Imagine walking into a cafe. The smell of brewing coffee, that's the cue, and that triggers a craving for caffeine and alertness. Your response is to buy the coffee, and the reward is that really satisfied, energized feeling you get. Over time, this exact loop makes your behaviors completely automatic. Breaking it down into these 4 fundamental parts really helps us understand exactly how a habit works behind the scenes. And here is where it gets really good. Clear maps this neurological loop to a highly actionable cheat code he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. This is exactly how you ensure good habits become totally inevitable and bad ones become impossible. It's basically your master framework. If you want to create a good habit, you make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. And conversely, to break a bad habit, you just invert those laws. You make the cue invisible, the craving unattractive, the response difficult, and the reward unsatisfying. Let's break these laws down, starting with the first law: make it obvious. Now, we all like to think we're in total control, right? But the environment is actually the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. To tackle this first law and make a good habit obvious, you have to design your physical and social environment to surround yourself with the right cues. People so often think they lack motivation, when in truth, they just really lack clarity. Want to read more before bed? Put the book right on your pillow. In the morning, want to drink more water? Leave a full water bottle sitting squarely on your desk. And to break a bad habit, just invert it. Make it invisible. Unplug the video game console and put it in a closet. Trust me, it is vastly easier to avoid temptation than to resist it. Another incredibly powerful tactic for making a cue obvious is what's called habit stacking. This just involves identifying a current daily habit you already do effortlessly and literally stacking your new desired behavior directly on top of it. See, your brain already has these really strong neural networks for your daily routines. So by creating an implementation intention, like saying, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute, you're pairing a new habit with a specific time and location. It makes success highly, highly probable. Okay, moving on to the second law, we make habits attractive. Humans are deeply social creatures, you know? We naturally imitate 3 specific groups just to fit in. The close, meaning our family and friends, the many, meaning our broader tribe, and the powerful, meaning those with status and prestige. Because of this really deep-seated desire to belong, we can make habits highly attractive just by joining a culture where our desired behavior is simply the normal behavior. The normal behavior of the tribe almost always overpowers the desired behavior of the individual. So hey, if you want to read more, join a book club. Surround yourself with the right crowd, and the habit naturally becomes inherently attractive. Now let's move to the third law, make it easy. For this, we have to embrace the law of least effort. Let's be totally honest with ourselves here. We are biologically wired to be a bit lazy. We naturally gravitate toward the option requiring the smallest amount of resistance. So rather than fighting your human nature, use it. Create an environment where doing the right thing is as frictionless as possible. If you want to hit the gym early in the morning, lay out your workout clothes and pack your gym bag the night before. Because remember, the most effective form of learning is actual practice, not just endless planning. And if you struggle with procrastination, you can completely eliminate it by applying this little secret weapon called the 2-minute rule. It's super simple. A new habit should take less than 2 minutes to do. Want to become a runner? Your habit isn't running 3 miles, it's literally just putting on your running shoes. Focus purely on taking action rather than just planning out the perfect routine. A habit absolutely must be established before it can be improved, so master the art of showing up first, and then you can expand on it as time goes on. Finally, we arrive at the fourth law, make it satisfying. It's the anticipation of a reward that actually gets us to act, but it's the fulfillment of it that gets us to repeat it. To make the reward satisfying over the long haul and avoid boredom, which, by the way, is actually the greatest threat to success, you should apply the Goldilocks rule. Humans experience peak motivation when working on challenges that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Think of it kind of like playing a video game or a sport against someone who is perfectly matched to your skill level. It's not too hard, but it's not too easy either. Finding this sweet spot is what allows you to enter a flow state and stay completely engaged. So let's bring all of this together into what we call the paradox of small improvements. When you align your identity, master your systems, and follow those 4 laws of behavior change, you realize something pretty amazing. Meaningful change doesn't actually require radical change. All big things really do come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is just a single, tiny decision. But as that decision is repeated over and over, a powerful oak takes root within us. Since we know all big things come from small beginnings, and that true long-term thinking is actually goalless thinking focused on endless refinement, I want to leave you with one final, really important question. What is one tiny vote you will cast for your identity today? Take a second to think about the person you want to become, pick an action that takes less than 2 minutes, and go cast that vote. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly, highly encourage you to apply these frameworks to your own daily life. Keep casting those votes, and I'll see you next time.